I've got the Beeb out again, and I just thought I'd show off some of my favourite games on the BBC, some of the games that I think were some of the best ones, also some of the ones that kind of pushed the BBC, and a lot of these were available in the Acorn Electron to the sort of limit at the time. So there's Galaforce and Galaforce 2, which I think are some of the best sort of shooting type games, you know, very arcadey sort of style, very, very quick, really well programmed on these machines to sort of get the most out of them. I'll show Galaforce 2, and another thing that I like a lot about this game is it's got an amazing soundtrack for the time, so I'll load this one up first. Typical loading screen. Let you listen into the really shows off what the BBC sound can actually do, really. It's an extremely long track as well. This sort of kind of goes on for quite a long time. You can see the sort of gameplay there in the background. It's extremely fast playable game on the BBC Micro. I think it stands out for the sort of the music track on it initially. Right, so I can show the gameplay. And get it to load. There we go. So it's a bit like I think it's Galaxian, isn't it, where they have the bonus levels in between, where it's just waves of enemies sort of piling in. And it is possible to actually shoot every single one of these enemies if you get the timing absolutely right on it. Particularly in a bit, it should get the upgraded fire shooting. So just looks really good, I think, for the time, you know, for the BBC. Incredibly quick graphics, just really shows what clever program we can really pull off on the BBC Micro. I had to shoot that one to get faster shots. Excellent little intro there. Sounds almost like the Commodore 64 line, isn't it? The actual sound of those bits. Sort of like modulated effects, I think, that they do. The next game I'm going to show you is Codename Droid. Those who some people might know, it's actually the follow-up to Striker's Run. Now, Striker's Run was very much, well, in my opinion, it was kind of a clone of the arcade game Green Beret, or Russian Attack, I think it might have been called in America. There was different names for it, I think. So it was very much side-scrolling, quite impressive sort of side-scrolling for the time. It was more of a shooter than a sort of where you just had a knife on the arcade version. So Codename Joy was a follow-up to that. It was a very successful game. Striker's Run on the BBC and on the Acorn Electron. Codename Joy is a sort of a much more advanced, much more sort of accomplished game. So let's have a quick look. Nice little starting screen there. It's amazing what they managed to cram into this 32K. There's no loading between levels on this, it's all crammed into that memory. Have a look at this, it's trying to remember the controls, that's fine, isn't it? So there's quite a lot to this game. There's like jetpacks, there's lots of gates, there's lots of keys, There's kind of multiple levels on it. You can access your menus here. You can get maps, but there's a jetpack that you can get in it as well. Let's see if I can remember how to get out of there. That's it. Very fast action game for the BBC, where a lot of games were very sort of awkward, sort of pixel perfect type games. This game flows really nicely. Scrolling's pretty smooth, about as smooth as you're going to get, I think, on this sort of Acorn Electron BBC type. Huge range of movements. You know, there must have been a lot of sprites involved in this game. I like how the skeletons kind of collapse down when they get shot. Like I say, I mean, there must be a hell of a lot of sprites stored in this 32K to graphics are pretty much one of the best, I'd say, for a BBC game, certainly. Run out of energy there for my blaster. Not sure if there's anything I can do to get more energy. I don't know if I can kill him now. Right, that's me dead. Looks like everybody I killed before has disappeared now, so I'll probably just run through the level, I'm assuming. This next game is possibly the first ever computer game I ever played, or certainly the first computer game I ever remember playing. When I got the Acorn Electron, my dad brought it back. He used to work for a catalogue company at the time. He brought back the Acorn Electron, and this was one of the few games, because there weren't that many games for the Acorn Electron when it first came out. This was one of the few tapes that would actually load on BBC tapes that would actually load on the Acorn Electron. So this was one of my first ever games, and it's a very playable little sort of platformy type game. It's called Daredevil Dennis. Nice little intro. Some good music on it. Very simple controls. I'll have to load it again. I'm just have to wait for the music to finish. There we go. Right. So it's very simple control. Jump, accelerate, stop. Simple as that. And you're basically playing as you're a stuntman. Daredevil Dennis, you're a stuntman. I love that intro, just brilliant. So you're a stuntman. Shift is accelerate. You can stop dead. You're just going to get this all the timing right. Obviously, if you make any contact with any of these objects, you're dead instantly. Yeah, I was playing this earlier and I was a lot better. Get 3 takes until you're fired. So I was going back to hit that spider again, so I stopped again. So if I get to another level. So there's a cycle of 3 types of level. You've got the motorbike level, you've got the water level, and then you've got the ski level. Now on the Electron there definitely wasn't a different sound on the ski level. I'm pretty sure it was identical to the motorbike level, but obviously you have slightly better sound capabilities. Now the helicopter's been introduced, so and you can collect these little gold bars that the helicopter's dropping for you nicely. The difficulty just keeps ramping up, and like most games at the time, it gets hard extremely quickly. can just drop through the levels like that. Really nice, playable game this. And again, like I say, probably the first one. When we got the Acorn Electron, I was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and I remember this game. Quite graphically good, I think, for the time. You know, you're talking very early 80s. It's getting much more tricky now. Jump over the lighthouse, drop through the floor. I'm going to have to clear the way along the lighthouse in the same jump. That's it. And then we've got scary skulls. The timing right on that is very difficult. I think I got an extra life, so I've still got to get another chance at take 3. See if I can get under it first time. Just. The next game I'm going to show you is Quack. So this is quite cutesy sort of graphics game, which you didn't really get that many of them at that time. I mean, you know, things like Bubble Bobble were sort of emerging on the NES, and obviously on the arcade as well. So this game actually, well, I think graphically for its time it was quite novel really on the certainly on the Acorn Electron it was, and this BBC version very quick. That just looks really nice, I think. I do believe, interesting enough, this was actually ported onto the Amiga by the by Team 17, who have Worms fame, who are actually my local software house. Interesting to see the Acorn Electron version of this next to this, because I'm pretty sure with the Acorn Electron version that all the sprites were sort of stored in like video memory around the screen to sort of save, or well, to utilise that sort of memory, because I think the graphics modes on the Acorn Electron weren't quite as advanced as the graphics modes on the BBC, so it took up a lot more memory. So they needed obviously to utilise any memory they possibly could. It'd be interesting to load it and have a see what it looks like. So this one isn't a game, but it's actually just a speech emulation tool that was written by Superior Software. And apparently the story goes that the BBC, or the Acorn, they decided they were going to develop a speech chip, so they spent a lot of time developing an actual ROM to put in that could actually sort of synthesize speech. Along came David Hoskins from Superior Software and created a short program that had just ran, and it could actually run alongside other sort of, you know, programs. It wasn't that big that it took up the full 32K memory, so this will kind of run in the background and emulate speech, you know, very competently. So let's try say my name. That's it. You know, I'm sure that's would bring back sort of memories of very early sort of speech generation on various different games. So the next one's a game that I remember getting used to get these Play It Again Sam compilations, you know, in the later days when they were starting to bundle like lots of games together into one. And this is one that I remember seeing on there, and typically when you bought the Acorn Electron version, you look on the back and the screenshots would look amazing, but that was because it was the Amiga screenshots that generally you were seeing, or at least this Commodore 64 maybe, that they were showing, which were obviously tended to be a lot better. But Ricochet is a game that was on the just looked really good at the time. I mean, the playability, I don't think it's not a game I remember playing a lot, but again, just the graphics on it just sort of stood out for me at the time. And I mean, it probably sold me that box set that I bought with the game. Let's just have a quick go. on it. So on this you can sort of squash down and bounce up like that. So again, very quick moving game. Looks very similar to sort of games like Citadel. Same sort of like multi-screen sort of kind of setup, but obviously with this very novel sort of movement technique. Very quick game again. Nice little physics that go on. So there's some doors here that I need to find the keys for. Try and work my way through. Energy, which keeps going down every time I make contact. Oh, I found a key. How do I get a key? Right, I've got a key now. It seems to have stopped. Oh, it's on the right, my energy, isn't it? See if this can get me through this door. Button. I don't know. Anyway, nice looking little game. Again, the graphics look pretty impressive for the time. Obviously not quite as good as the Amiga graphics, but maybe we should get the Amiga version out and compare it at some point. So this last game I'm going to show you is one of these that I remember really vividly playing back in the 80s and very early 90s. Probably one of the first games I remember having. I'm pretty sure this was a game that was a BBC game that would load straight off the tape. The BBC version would load on the Acorn Electron, which was quite rare at the time. I don't know if it had been programmed so it was adaptable to both, or whether it just happened to not use any of the specific modes that were only custom to the BBC. And this was one of those games that I'd forgotten. I just couldn't remember the name of it. I was been searching for quite a long time for this game. And it's called Sim. And I played it again. I mean, I remember the graphics looking really good at the time, but also really surreal, very weird sort of graphics. It just really stood out for me, I suppose, at the time. Nice little 3D intro there. I just remember this sort of intro screen, and to me I think the graphics just looked amazing sort of for the time. And I like this little character. Slightly annoying, so in here everything's out to kill you. You've got rabbits, you've got suns, you've got clouds, everything's trying to kill you. So let's say very surreal. These are sort of weird eyes with lips with eyes, sort of aliens. And the sound is obviously totally inappropriate. In fact, there's like a little Channel 4 sign running around after you there. But the sound is totally inappropriate to the style of game, you know. I suppose at the time they never really considered I'm sure you can collect that, but I can't remember how. Never really considered marrying up the music to the actual gameplay, I suppose. Let's have another go. Let's try. I think that's the only way I can go on this game. So the sun's after you, the clouds are after you, the rabbit will kill you if you touch it. What's up here? Is there anything else up this way? Seems to be infinite space in this direction. There's some way you can go this way, I think. Oh, there's a door that's closed, you can't go through that door. In fact, it actually kills you. I'd say everything in this game kills you. Quite nice to be able to turn off the music, I think. I think on the Acorn Electron version, I don't think it actually had the music running all the time, so it's a bit loud and a bit. Remember the Channel 4 sign trying to chase you around. So, quit out of that. So there we go. We've got a nice selection of some of my favourite games that I remembered for various reasons. Some really good games there, and some quirky, sort of interesting ones as well.